When do we get treats?
It's the first inning, Ira.
Taylor! I caught a cicada!
That's great, buddy.
Taylor!
Aw.
How much longer?
Oh, little dude. Ira's mask is forming right in front of us. The oddball entertainer, the kid who spins magical worlds to protect himself from how unkind the real one can be. He isn't the hero in his own story. His sister is, and that alone tells us he doesn't yet see himself as powerful or capable in real life. Instead, he casts himself as the narrator, the observer, the outsider, most probably because this is the role he currently plays in his own family. His imagination is not just a hobby, it's his armor as I see it, but that armor gets pierced the moment the other kids gossip about him. So let's talk about what's really happening here. Ira is 10 years old, an age where social belonging becomes a critical developmental task. According to Erikson's stages of psychological development, kids at this age are wrestling with the stage of industry versus inferiority. They're building self-esteem based on feedback from peers, so when he hears kids mocking him, that feedback stings like a hornet in the ego, and because he hasn't yet developed the emotional regulation or assertiveness skills to say, hey, that hurt, or, mind your own fucking business, his system redirects the pain. He goes to the safest relationship he knows, his sister. And how does it show up? Readiness, impatience, pestering. In psychology, we call this emotional displacement. When a child feels overwhelmed by something they can't confront directly, they transfer those emotions onto someone they feel safe with. Because here's the key, you only act out with the people you trust to still love you after. The bratty behavior is a protest against the social pain, the boredom, the rejection, and the emotional disconnection all at once. Ira's imagination seems to be used for many things, but primarily for self-regulation. It allows him to make sense of things that feel too big, or even feelings that are too big. That's why...
You want to go out or what?
Oh.
Wow, that's bold.
That's you, Potes. Smooth.
I have to agree with the child.
Please be cool.
I'm always cool.
He is cool.
Just give me 20 minutes.
Too cool.
But you promised. Video games? Together?
You did promise.
You really need to find some friends.
That's also true. Now, this scene is where we really see Ira's loneliness start to harden into a mask. The kind that says, I'm fine, I don't need anyone else, I have my sister, I have my stories. On the surface, he seems content, okay? He adores his sister, he lights up around her, but it's not love. Truly, it seems dependency disguised as companionship. When she's around, he doesn't feel bored or anxious or unwanted. Her presence protects him from having to face his social reality. He doesn't seem to have friends. He doesn't seem to fit in. And he's not practicing the messy, awkward, and necessary skills it takes to learn those things either. Because let me explain, Ira's reliance on his sister is a compensatory attachment strategy. Basically, he's not bonding with peers because he's bonding with someone safe, familiar, and older. This often happens when a child is socially rejected or misunderstood by same-age peers, as we saw earlier, or when the parentification or caregiving dynamic pushes an older sibling into a pseudo-parent role, or when no one steps in to restructure the environment so the younger sibling gets age-appropriate socialization. It might look harmless now, even sweet, hanging around with his sister all the time and looking up to her, but long-term, this creates what's known as social lag. The child matures intellectually, but not interpersonally, so it gets even trickier. Imaginative kids who are rejected by peers will often lean harder into their fantasy worlds because those are the only places they feel competent, included, and powerful. But that can quietly reinforce the isolation, you see. When Ira says he has friends, but clearly doesn't, he's attempting to protect his identity, or at least the image he has of himself. Because saying I don't have friends at 10 doesn't really feel like a fact. It feels like a flaw. It feels like a failure, like something is wrong with him. Actually, not only at 10, many people feel like this even at 60. This is the slow burn of shame, by the way. And the longer it goes unchecked, the more it's
Whack! Don't worry about Kev. He's just our weirdo mascot.
I am worried about Kev.
Rare disease. That chicken suit is the only thing keeping him alive.
Lena, please. Kev was obviously...
They're testing him, do you see?
And in order to survive, Kev slowly became one of them.
Quack, quack.
Maybe Chicken Kev actually isn't a mascot at all.
Do
but
tell.
Like an ancient soul, enchanted into a mascot suit, who's awakened by the roar of the crowd.
Oh, now he's the hero.
Team to victory! After the game's won, he kind of just goes back to being an empty costume. Really, Chicken Kev is just the will to win inside us all.
Whoa!
Look at that. Acceptance.
That's really real.
So, as we've established, Ira doesn't seem to have a mask just yet, but he does use his imagination as a coping mechanism of some sort. But this scene shows what happens when that lens starts to blur with reality. Instead of seeing danger, Ira sees a story, and instead of questioning the absurdity, he starts narrating it. He takes a group of delusional, chaotic teens egging a fucking car and casts them as misunderstood rebels fighting for justice. And like, there's a person dressed like a chicken speaking like a freaking chicken all the goddamn time. Yeah, Ira doesn't seem to flinch at that bizarre behavior. He assigns him meaning, actually. Well, maybe he isn't a mascot at all, he says. And that's when we switch from imagination to detachment from reality, used to feel connected and in control. This is impressionability meeting identity confusion, almost as if Ira doesn't know who he is without his sister, or what are the boundaries without her, more specifically. After all, he's developmentally too young to self-direct, right? So when he's left alone, he becomes susceptible to whatever offers structure, no matter how dysfunctional it is. That's, by the way, at the core of any toxic relationship. What makes him vulnerable here is that, one, he doesn't yet have internal scaffolding, which is a developed sense of self and values. Two, he's not receiving attuned adult mirroring, so his reality testing is shaky. And three, he's desperate for someone to tell him he's accepted. That's why the weirdness of the chicken kid doesn't make him run, it makes him fantasize, because fantasy is where Ira feels safe, significant, and powerful. It's where people make sense to him. And this is how dangerous friendships start, with unmet needs. Ira doesn't see these kids as weird. He sees them as, if you love what I do here and you want to go deeper, or just say thank you for the content you've already binged, there's a place for that. It's my Patreon! It starts with a small donation tier for those of you who just want to support the work I do on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and everywhere else, because trust me, the algorithm doesn't pay for emotional insight. Then there are tiers for those of you who want more, full deep dives, early access, no waiting, no splitting content into parts. And if you're the kind of person who wants to not just watch but connect and build a community, there's a coffee talk tier. I offer a monthly online live group where we go deep into a theme, we share stories, and yes, we cry a little, we laugh a lot, and leave with actual tools you can use. The link is in the description with all the details for each option, and yeah, I would love to have you there. If I would be a parent, I would be concerned about these friends, yeah. A little bit too magical, a little bit too romanticized. But hey. So until now, Ira has survived through imagination. It seems that's how he makes meaning, how he feels powerful, as we said before, how he copes with loneliness, all of that. But imagination is just a tool, not a mask yet. What is becoming a mask now is his emerging role as the loyal sidekick. And listen, it's not like this is the first time he plays this role. He plays it regularly with his sister, but with her, this had more of an innocent shade. I mean, he looked up to her, followed her lead, because that's what little brothers do, you know? But now, he's starting to play the same relational role with people who don't actually love him. And that's when the coping mechanism becomes masking. He's not being loyal because it's safe. He's being loyal to feel safe. That's a huge psychological shift right there. In fact, we see that Ira is trying to replicate the only relational model he knows, which is devotion to someone older and more confident. Now that his sister is busy growing up, she can't feel that spot anymore. So when
Taylor, check this out!
Hey, Ira. Your sister and I are kind of dating now.
oh, he's
That
been
means
replaced.
we're, makes us bros.
Does it? You cannot just... Okay, well, that's a defensive mechanism, but...
So sorry, you.
Pretty funny. Let's talk about the trauma that is unfolding here, because Ira just got emotionally replaced. He's not developmentally old enough to say it out loud, but he feels it. His sister doesn't have time for him anymore, and her boyfriend is trying to bond, but it feels fake. So what happens? Behavioral protest. Licking the fist bump is classic dysregulated attachment behavior. He doesn't have the words, so he uses what he does have. Boundary pushing, because if there's one thing you need to know about kids is that on a subconscious level, they would rather be seen as rude than ignored. Enter the bleacher creatures right on cue. I would call this exclusive belonging, even though it's not really a clinical term. This is more related to deviancy training, where peer groups reinforce antisocial or risky behavior through social rewards like attention and approval. It's the feeling of finally being in a group where you're not an outsider, you're not a burden, and most importantly, you're valued for your weirdness, more or less. Now, here's the paradox. Bad groups only feel appealing when the good ones stop making you feel like you belong. This is why kids in gangs or cliques or cult-like friend groups don't leave, because it's the only place they feel special. Because no one around him is attuned to his emotional shift, it seems. His jealousy isn't clocked, his grief over losing her attention is never named, ashamed, and his parents, again, show up only on the surface. So when kids aren't taught how to name or process those feelings, they...
Why don't we play Snack Shack Attack?
What's that?
Cheryl over there, she's been taking advantage of this sector for years.
taking advantages in working there, or...
Stop the evil empire of capitalism, but we can do our part to slow it down.
Come on, little man.
Really?
It'll be fun.
Is that what is going to slow down capitalism? Wow, this is so manipulative. Okay, well, this is stealing, no matter how we dress it up. Right, so up until now, Ira's imagination has been his escape, the thing that makes his loneliness tolerable and his world a little brighter. But in this scene, something shifts because we see someone weaponizing it. The Bleacher creatures take his internal world and bend it into a cover story for petty theft. They don't say, let's go steal snacks. No, they say, let's take down capitalism. Basically, instead of saying, help us break the rules, they say, help us play the game. And that's how you know a mask has stopped protecting you, by the way, when it becomes a costume someone else puts on you. I'd call this a very good example of narrative hijacking because we got all the components. We have a child who has a rich inner world, often developed from loneliness, boredom, or lack of belonging. The imagination world that becomes a refugee, almost a filter through which you see life, and someone pretending to believe that fantasy in such a way to get you to comply. And unfortunately, kids like Ira are the perfect targets. You see, the second he starts to feel a twinge of guilt, the group praises him. They call him the one who made it all happen. They give him power, they give him identity. However, the issue is that his inner discomfort isn't truly resolved, it's simply interrupted. That's why when he hesitates, the leader, I guess, of this group emotionally blackmails him in disguise with the, well, if you don't want to be part of this, ... Like, come on now, I see what you're doing. And just like clockwork, Ira panics, and to maintain the friendship, he sacrifices his truth. What's especially dangerous here is how...
I'm sorry.
That's so sweet, guys.
I
Even without guidance, he's still trying to do the right thing.
Hey, little man.
You stay the hell away from him.
I wanted to say that I'm sorry. I yelled at you.
How about you put him in that situation to begin with? This is not a real apology. Nah.
Friends again?
No, Ira, no! Oof. That's a brutal twist right there. Oh.